Any owner of the organization, what is expected from you as a professional is not effort. It is not that emotion that somebody was not feeling well in my family, so I took almost about 10 days leave. What matters is not effort and emotions in corporate world. What is important is the results.
And thank you so much, Charu sir, for sharing with us your second philosophy, and now please shed some light on the third philosophy.
Let me discuss with you a very interesting phenomenon, that is Newton's law of inertia. Newton's law of inertia states that any non-living thing, I emphasize, he said any non-living thing will continue to remain in a state of constancy, or what we call a state of inertia, till the time there is an external force which will come and help it move in a particular direction. But Baba Newton ne bataya it was only for non-living things. I have seen so many individuals who have conveniently utilized their state of inertia or used this Newton's law of inertia in their professional and personal life, remaining into that state of constancy for a long period of time, expecting there would be an external force which will come and will eventually help them move in a particular direction. Imagine, Surabhi, you in your heydays of 25 to 45, being long into the state of inertia, expecting that either your seniors, either your colleagues or your family members will actually come to you and provide you that external force and help you move in a direction, is practically counting stars in a broad daylight. But that's what people do.
With this, I remember my school incident. You know, there used to be two kinds of students in our school time. Those students who used to study throughout the year and score higher marks, and there was category number 2 who would only realize that they need to study a day before the exam and just struggle and somehow pass their exams, and some of them even failed, of course. So that is the only time that I remember where, you know, there were students who were very self-motivated and some of them who were not.
True.
And when there was a talwar hanging on their head ki kal exam dena hai, only that was our, trigger to go ahead and study. So I can totally relate to what you're saying.
In fact, I will bring about in very interesting aspects the commonality, more importantly the differentiation. Most of the people know that there are huge differences between animals and humans. You will appreciate that.
Yes.
But there is one very common feature between animals and humans, is their response mechanism when it comes to the survival of these individuals or of these animals as well as humans. There are two mechanisms which are seen very commonly in survival mode. One is called as in flight mode, jahan pe if you see the enemy and you need to survive, you run away from the scene. The second one is called as in fight mode, a mode whereby you fight the enemy and survive the situation. But humans, over a period of time, with their evolution within larger cortex area, they were supposed to develop more response mechanism, better response mechanism, which were other than only for survival mode. They were supposed to bring in a more advanced mechanisms when it came to their stress-like situations. And stress-like situation can be as simple as what, Surabhi? Traffic mein aap atke hue for 3 hours. There is a lot of honking going on. It can be that stress. That can be called as stress.
Yes.
You are stuck in your career. You are not getting promotions. You are not getting increments. You are under tremendous stress. In today's world, sales-dominated world, marketing-dominated world, your sales targets are the biggest pressure.
Yeah.
And when you are under this kind of stress, you have to employ something which is better than flight mode and fight mode. The humans were supposed to be adapting themselves for this.
There are so many people who don't want to go towards sale. But the other day you were telling me that when you had to choose after you getting 93.33%, you actually consciously chose sales profession.
True. In fact, I remember many people suggested that after getting so many marks, you should actually get into production department. Usme scientist wala concept you can actually do it. But I realize at an age of 27, I realize that if I get into a particular zone, a particular, being a scientist or an chemist into a pharma company, I will never be able to achieve the net worth which I had decided by the age of 50, 51. So, I chose rather than, being into production as a department, I went into sales because I knew if you need to be a president of a company, if you need to be a vice president of a company, what you need is an sales and marketing background. So even after getting those 93 and passing the bachelor's of pharmacy, for 2 years, I worked as a medical representative carrying a bag with a salary of 1100 rupees per month and having a daily allowance of some 14 rupees.
It's very impressive that at that age, with the limited experience that you had of life, you had such clear vision of where you want to be at the age of 50. You knew this is the net worth that you want for yourself, and you could have chosen a more comfortable life with probably a better income also, but you purposely chose an uncomfortable life with lesser amount of money so that you can eventually have a bigger
the higher heights. Absolutely bang on, Surbhi.
So that vision, how did you have that kind of vision at that stage of life? Today in our viewers, I think we have people watching from 15, 16 years old to 40, 50 years old. So somebody who's at 40 having an insight like this is probably very easy because he's had an experience in life. But you didn't have that kind of experience. How did you have that kind of vision?
See, as I said, the biggest reason for this goes back to my second philosophy which I discussed about. All those incidents which happened in my life and the individuals who came, I had an option of saying to them, mind your own business. But I took all these as positive triggers. And as I said, if you need to actually achieve and chase your visions and passion, it would be still meaningless if you don't have a genuine reason to get up in the morning. And these were the triggers which were kindling me, helping me achieve those set net worths or set visions which were been there every single morning. So Surbhi, getting back to what we were discussing, in those stressful modes which have been there, the humans were supposed to bring in a more effective mode, which, as I said, the most convenient mode which they brought in was a freeze mode, which is normally seen in prey animals. And this freeze mode is essentially a mode whereby people conveniently stop thinking, stop acting, and consider whatever is served by life during that moment of time. I have seen many people, Surbhi, who conveniently use this state of inertia or this freeze mode when it comes to their heydays in their professional and personal life. And when they go through this kind of phenomena, expecting that an external force will come to them and help them move in a direction, a thing which never happens in their life. Surbhi, I completely believe that all of us, most of us, are born eagles. Whether we choose a life of living the entire life as an eagle by flying high, or for that matter, whether we choose the easier, convenient way of being a chicken, is a choice which is always there with individuals. According to me, over a period of time, many of us kill that part of eagle subconsciously or consciously over a period of life. And we choose the most convenient way of being or living a life of a chicken. Isn't it a big shame, Surbhi, that you're born eagle and you choose a life to live like a chicken?
Probably it is that convenience itself that we try and avoid. We don't want to try and check our reflection.
True.
You were talking about how often do you check your reflection in the mirror, and when you see it, do you like it?
Right.
Checking your reflection is, I think, also convenience based, because if you know within that you're not going to like that reflection,
True.
and you'll have to face your triggers, your truth of life, you want to avoid that process altogether.
Right. But then when we discuss about this, we discuss about a very important aspect, looking at your reflection genuinely. Because if you don't have that genuinity of seeing your own reflection, and whatever the reflection is suggesting, as we discussed, if it is suggesting change, that means you would be alive, you're progressing.
I have a question here. I feel like you said that checking that reflection has to be genuine. So sometimes somebody might check their reflection and even say that I'm liking what I'm seeing, whereas in reality, it must be something that is not true. So probably going to a mentor like you and taking his suggestion on this is how my life is and what
Right,
reflection do
yeah.
you see about me? Can that help?
It does help. In fact, at times, there are multiple statements which have been there. In fact, we'll discuss about this. When you get into this state of inertia, it has been seen that you tend to surround yourself with individuals who would preach you, who
And
would come
testify.
to you and testify you that you were never destined to fly high as an eagle. They will give that testimony to you. They will sympathize. They will tell you that you were never destined for that bigger goal which was been there, or bigger vision which you have set. In fact, once you get into that state of inertia, Surabhi, I personally feel, and when you surround yourself with such kind of negative brooders, eventually what happens is that you start looking at your life, professional and personal life, from a prism of prejudice. You think this is the way the life is. And these negative brooders will help you ruminate. What we call as in ruminative brooding. Rumination is an act whereby a cow, for 2 hours prior to digesting a food, she will chew the food. Similarly, these individuals who are negative brooders will come to you and convince you and do this ruminative brooding about whatever the incidences which have gone wrong. So unfortunate. And that's the reason, Surabhi, it has been categorically said. I remember a statement made by George Washington. He said, at times, it is better to be alone rather than being into a bad company. And believe me or not, everybody goes through this state of inertia during their personal and professional. How long you remain in that state of inertia actually determines what heights you will achieve in life.
Talking about bad company, when we were in our school days, our parents always used to, correct us that, don't be with these kids, and, you should prefer being with these kids. And being a kid, we would hardly take that seriously. But now that we've grown up and we've matured in life, and that you're discussing all this, today we realize actually it is so important. The kind
True.
of people you surround yourself with may have such a big impact on you.
Right.
Like I always tease you that whenever I come and meet you for whatever meeting, and then when I go back home, I feel like, what am I doing in life? I need to work more harder. I need to have bigger visions. I need to be more focused on to what I want to do. So that is the impact that I have with you, and I always tease you that you must talk with me 10 minutes every day. Now I'm so glad that I'm getting this opportunity to actually podcast with you, and I'm going to be motivated every week.
If you remember, Surabhi, you have been always saying about that money will come next to me. What I need to do is put in an effort. I remember, this is something which is about the corporate world, though we are digressing from the topic. Corporate world has key result areas, or what we call as KRAs or KPIs. KPIs or KRAs in any corporate have no value for effort and has no value for emotions. Effort and emotion never comes into KPI. So you saying to your senior or to your HR department, saying that मैं सुबह 9 बजे ऑफिस में आती हूँ and then I finish my work at 9 in the evening. I have seen many HR executives who are intelligent HR executives say आप 12 घंटे का काम जो कर रहे हो उससे तो हम लोग की इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जा रही है, the AC which you are wasting. They are all banged on the results. Any owner of the organization, what is expected from you as a professional is not effort. It is not that emotion that somebody was not feeling well in my family, so I took almost about 10 days leave. What matters is not effort and emotions in corporate world. What is important is the results.
The results.
And I remember you saying about this aspect every time that I put in so much of effort. If I do that, the money will automatically come to me. And I have been always insisting on you to say that you should understand the importance of money, Surabhi.
True. We were talking about inertia, and we discussed about inertia when people are in their normal state of mind and, you know, perfectly healthy. But inertia becomes a bigger problem when, you know, you are in health crisis.
Right,
and health
absolutely.
is wealth is something that we understand once we lose health. So you were telling me about an incident where you went through some very difficult phase on your health front, but you've still very bravely come out of that and still achieved what you intended to achieve. So please tell us more about
That's a very interesting part of my life. In fact, in 2011, Surbi, when I was working as a vice president with one of the MNCs, I would say during those times, detected with a cold shoulders and probably a disorder which can be treated very easily. But even after going to 4 or 5 top doctors, Surbi, orthopedicians, each one of them giving me treatment and trying to manage me for the cold shoulder, the pain increased. The pain in the joint not only remained restricted itself for the right shoulder, but it went on to my entire upper and lower limbs. And I was very sure that I was been wrongly diagnosed with cold shoulder. So I went to one of the leading orthopedicians in Mumbai, and I remember he asking me to do a biopsy of my right shoulder. And when I did that biopsy, I was a bit tense. So I asked the doctor, what is that has come into the biopsy? And the doctor said, the way you are rare, the disease which you have got or the disorder which you have got is also very rare. It happens in like 1 lakh people. There is this one case which I have seen over a period of time. And there was a time, Surabhi, that it used to take me 15 minutes to just get off my bed in the morning. The doctor actually told me that you are suffering from autoimmune arthropathy. What it means is the antibodies which are supposed to fight the foreign bodies, the good part of our body which has been there, that is antibodies, actually are killing, considering my tissues, joint tissues, as enemy and trying to destroy them. They are trying to kill them.
This is so stupid and unfair. I mean, it's like they are being stupid and you're being punished for it.
and as I said, it was a very rare thing. So I was shocked to know that I have this autoimmune arthropathy. So I said to the doctor, what would be the next course now? So doctor said, this is all related to stress, Charu. Your physical and mental stress which you are going through. So it is time that you should de-stress. At an age of 41, when I was working as a vice president, and he said, the best thing for you now, the best medication and the therapy will be you take a 2 years sabbatical. And I was shocked with that statement, Surbi.
And somebody in your place would have been happier that, you know, now it's been attested by the doctor that I need to take a break for 2 years and I can just relax and live my life.
And Surbi, to be very frank, as a person which you know me as an individual, I was shocked with this statement.
Absolutely.
Because I had decided that by an age of 51, I should have a specific net worth, which was been planned. I had my son who was just 11 years old. His entire education was still to be done. And my doctor saying this, that you take a 2 year sabbatical, is going almost 10 years away from the vision which you have set for you by the age of 51. I was thoroughly shocked with that. And when I came back, there were quite a few people who were very close to me, including my parents, said this is the best thing, as the way you said. पहले health, वो क्या statement
जान है तो जहान है.
And this was the statement which was being made by them, saying the fact that Charu, visions can be still achieved if your health is good. But I couldn't,
accept that.
Accept the fact, the statements which were being made. There were a lot of people who were trying to sympathize me into that situation. I knew there is only one person who can actually empathize rather than sympathize, and that was my wife. So I turned to her for the best solution which I can look forward for. In fact, what she said was, let's change the doctor rather than you changing the vision. And believe me or not, sir, we went to a newer doctor, an equally competent, very strong doctor, and he suggested that you need not change anything in your life. Your quality of life will be still good. What we need to do is better manage this autoimmune arthropathy. And that's the reason, as I always say, so in life it is very important. And when you get into that state of inertia, how long do you remain in that state of inertia? What kind of people you surround yourself with? To whom and from whom do you take that wisdom and advice is very important. Because if you take advice from those, the way I said about negative brooders, they will convince you to remain in the comfort zone and not achieve anything in life, Surbi.
Well, I must say that your wife has contributed a lot towards your personal growth, and I see that gratitude in you. So moving forward, let's talk about the fourth philosophy.